Hello, everybody. Welcome back once again to another Let's Interview, another candidate for the Dragon Age Season 2 campaign that is coming up. I am here with Kevin. Say hi to the audience, Kevin.
Hello.
And we're gonna just dive right in and start getting to know Kevin more as a person. So let's start with the out of character questions. Kevin, question number one. What is it about the Dragon Age universe that interests you?
Well, this was actually one of the or a pretty hard question for me to think about. Um, I definitely, but from the answer that I could come up with, a big part of it was just the whole fantasy aspect of it, like mages, sword shields, bows and arrows. I study history, and I love ancient history, and just having pretending to be a character who lived in that time, like where swords and shields are magic was real, is just amazing to me. And Dragon Age, with their story, or with the story from the games, just like encaptured me and immediately made me immerse into that universe. And I just absolutely love that. Love those games.
Awesome, as we all do.
Yeah.
If you don't, then I don't know why the viewers are watching. But okay, so my second question is, what is it about tabletop gaming or role playing that interests you?
That's another great question. I, as I said in my character pitch, I believe, I started uh, playing tabletop games around 2 years ago. I was introduced by my roommates at the time, and I just fell into this world of where people can create their own worlds or take worlds from like popular uh, games or movies and make it their own. And it was different from playing a video game because you created your own character within that universe, and you weren't limited to like, oh, you can only be this certain race or this height or like this skin color. You could literally be anything and do almost anything within reason. And all you needed to do was roll a die. And that really just encaptured my imagination, and I just fell in love with tabletop gaming and role playing like instantly.
Awesome, awesome. All right, moving on to question number three. Why do you believe that you would be a good person for others to play with?
Um, well, like I said in the previous question, I learned how to play the game in a group of 4 or 5. So um, I learned like how to wait for my turn and all of that. I'm not the kind of guy that would just try to jump in and rescue everyone and be like the sole hero of a story. I'm also not the kind of guy who's like, I have a plan for everything. I like to play to my character's strengths and weaknesses. Um, so, for instance, my character is a Templar, so he has sort of knowledge within like physical combat, and he knows a little bit about magic, but not like as much as the mage does. So when we're in combat, he can give a little bit of advice, but in terms of magic, like if we're in the Fade or something, he's gonna kind of, my, at least I would kind of back off and let a mage character or someone who is more experienced, uh, someone with a more experienced character, uh, help out more, and I would kind of take the follow for that.
Okay, Then my next question is, what is your biggest weakness as a player, and how do you plan on overcoming slash improving that weakness?
A biggest My biggest weakness is that I'm kind of shy around people who I don't really know. Um, Especially when I first meet them, and if we're playing tabletop games, because I've been in a couple tabletop games where I don't know anyone, and I've just been that kind of character who stays back, doesn't say anything, and just kind of goes with the flow. I hope in this campaign, if I get selected, that I will be able to evolve as a person, and that will reflect in my character to where I will be able to play him as if I'm him, and being that my character will speak his mind when he knows the time is right and know when to hold back.
I think that's a very honest answer. Thank you, Kevin. And then
Thank
my
you.
last question, I think, is hopefully a relatively fun question. Pick any event or situation that took place in the Dragon Age Season 1 campaign, and how would your character have handled that situation differently or similarly?
Um, there, there, there are a couple instances where uh, Dragon Age, or the first season, took me by like oh my gosh, I can't wait for the next episode or the next part,
Uh huh.
or even the next scene, or the next turn. And one of them was when uh, Lee and Maximilian were on the top of the ship fighting the archdemon,
Yes.
and Maximilian puts his shield up, and Lee runs and jumps off of it to attack the archdemon. When I when I saw it, I was like, "Whoa! Like, what are they thinking? Are they crazy?"
Yeah, they are.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty insane. But um, answering for my character, um, to protect my friend, I would be the person to put the shield up, obviously, since I have the shield,
Mm-hmm.
and launch Leoden. But then I would have jumped after him to
Okay.
aid him.
Okay. No matter
Um,
how crazy the idea might be, you would still do it.
Especially with the relationship that they had at that
Yeah.
time, because I know
Yeah.
that there was like a bromance kind of thing going on,
Yes. They were
and
very close. There was a
yeah, they
brotherhood
they
there.
connected. They
Yes.
connected very well. And with my character, he's hard to gain people's trust, but once he gains their trust, it's very hard to let them go into danger alone. Um, so I could easily see my character jumping off the side of the ship with Lealden, even though as crazy as that sounds, um, I could easily see him doing that.
Okay. All right. So those are the out of character questions, and so now we're going to have some fun and we're going to role play.
Excellent.
So, um, Kevin wanted to choose Kane as the person that will interview him, and I have to come up with a creative way, creative reason for Kane to want to interview his character, because if you remember, Kevin's character is a Templar. Kane is not a circle mage. Kane is sort of an unregistered mage, but he can come off as, he doesn't necessarily come off as being a mage. He pretty much comes off as a very pompous noble, if
Yeah.
anything. We'll say that he will meet you at one of the upper, not, it's a, I would call it more like a wine bar, and he's drinking out of a wine glass right now, and it looks like he's writing some notes on something, some sort of a parchment.
I'll approach him and say, "Good afternoon. I was sent by the knight captain. I assume you are Kane."
Kane looks up, and when he sees you, his eyebrows raise, and he flashes you a smile. I like how Kevin described interacting with Kane. He said it would be like interacting with Caesar Flickerman from Hunger Games, and he's quite right. I actually can see that. And he says, "I am indeed Kane, my dear boy. You must be Alexander." He says, "Actually, I have a quill. You must be Alexander."
Yes, and I bow graciously.
He will stand up and he will hold out his hand and to shake, and he will say, "Pleased to meet you, sir."
It is very nice to meet you, and I will meet his hand and shake.
"Have a seat," he says. "Can I get you something to drink? Something to make you a little bit more comfortable?"
I'm fine, thank you.
"Suit yourself," he says as he raises a glass and he takes a sip. "I've been talking to your knight captain. We're very good friends, and might I say, he speaks very highly of you."
I appreciate that. I'm just doing my job.
"Well, let us begin, shall we? I guess my first question is, where do you hail from? Is Navarra your homeland?"
Yes, sir, it is.
"Ah," he says. "And tell me, what is it like being a Templar here in Navarra? Don't you all have all of the what is it they call them? Death magic, mortalitasi, and all that running rampant about. I'm just very curious how things here are a little bit different from maybe over in the Ferelden or Kirkwall areas."
The mages here are have a little bit more free reign than maybe Ferelden or Kirkwall. Um, but that doesn't mean that they don't need assistance and protection from uh, blood magic.
Ah, I have heard that actually. What do you think of that? Do you think that they have too much free reign then, would you say?
My character kind of glances around, looking around the inn, and he kind of leans in and says, "To be honest, I I do believe that they are overstepping their bounds a little,
Oh. Hmm.
but nonetheless, I am just a lonely Templar and I'm here to serve."
I'm assuming as a Templar you've had a good number of combat experience. Has any of your experience as a Templar led to you having to take one's life?
There have been a few circumstances where people would not come quietly. They weren't necessarily blood mages, but they were mages who were in the wrong, doing unjust things, and it was my duty as a Templar to bring them to justice.
"If you don't mind me asking," he says, "you have to understand with this particular mission, I would like to know. Explain to me the circumstances of your first actual kill and what went through your head at the time."
At this point, Alexander kind of looks down and away from him, um, and he's thinking in his mind, "I should have ordered a drink." Um,
I think
but that's
that Kane will probably pick up on that and it'll say, "I understand this is a very touchy subject, but I need to know what your mindset is about, well, taking lives if necessary." That's really the only reason I asked that question. Perhaps I can get you a drink after all?
at hearing this, he Alexander will look up at Kane, look him square in the eye, and say, "Yes, I'll take uh, brandy, please."
Kane will, signal one of the waitresses, and he will order a brandy for you, and the one of them will come and pour you a glass, and will move it towards your direction.
Without breaking eye contact with Kane, he'll Alexander will take the glass and um, take not drink the whole thing, but
Right.
like
Take a
kind of
swig.
take a good, yeah.
Hmm.
Um, and I'll say it was my first mission as a Templar. Um, it wasn't. It was supposed to be a milk run. Some mages were dabbling in blood magic a with like a leader who was a known blood mage, but he had political ties with the royalty, with the king. So he was essentially untouchable. But when he started to recruit, we had to take a personal interest in him. So me and a few others were sent to clear out a hideout. And at that pause, he kind of looks down at his drink and kind of swishes it around in his hand and looks back up and says, "But it was no ordinary just clearing out blood mages. When we got there, report that they had assumed or that they had uh, done, it still haunts me to this day. I do not fully grasp what they were doing. The head blood mage that we were sent to find was not there, but there were definitely mages that were that were definitely dabbling in blood magic. I suggested to my squad captain, our squad leader, that we should ask them to come peacefully and maybe they could be changed back or something. I don't know. I was naive at the time. But at the hearing of my voice, they turned and saw us and then just started to attack. And everything just kind of blurred from there. I saw one of my good friends who rose in the ranks with me, who trained with me, was just disemboweled by a mage. And it was a nightmare, all in this small confined space. Um, I I didn't know what to do, to be honest. I ran as soon as I saw. I didn't run out of the house, but I ran out and hid as soon as I saw my friend dismembered. Um, but my squad leader was able to take down the two that were there, and I distinctly remember this. He called me over and told me that mages were weak in physical attributes. They were strong in their mind, but weak in physical abilities. And he had them both kneel there, and he stabbed one right through the neck, execution style. And as he pulled his blade out, I remember the blood splattering across my face. And then he looked at me with these hateful eyes and told me, "If you want to be a real Templar, you will do this as well. You will take the plunge." And through my history, I had never seen such horrors. Even with the death of my mother, it was it was nothing like this. And anger and hate consumed me as I also plunged my sword through that mage's neck. without the chance of redemption or anything. It haunts me to this day that I had to do that. But alas, it had to be done.
Is that what you still think to this day?
I do. I do. And then
I
kind of finishes his drink. Hello, viewers. This is Alexander. I come bearing news that there is a chance that I will get a job from the Knight Commander, who is friends with Kane. And I just want to let you know that if you need a person who holds the values of justice and friendship close, near and dear to his heart, then look no further than Alexander. Because his friends always come first, since his friends are his new family.